We welcome in Niall Strange, White House columnist with our partners at thehill.com. Niall, always great to see you. Thanks for being here this evening.
Good to be with you.
Great to see you. So after that contentious hearing, do you believe there may be mounting pressure from within the party on Kennedy now to step down or resign? You know, most Republicans voted to install him as secretary. He did face some GOP criticism from the senators on that panel. What were your biggest takeaways from this hearing overall? Man, did it get heated out there?
It certainly did get heated. I think what we're seeing is some degree of Republican unease with RFK Jr., and that's particularly the case in Senator Bill Cassidy, who you saw there speaking and questioning the secretary in Joe Khalil's package. So I think there is, as I say, concern, but that's a different thing, Kelly, from the level of crisis that would lead to people calling on the secretary to step down. Right now, as far as we know, President Trump remains foursquare behind RFK Jr. And while that is the case, I think Republican senators or members of Congress, for that matter, will be highly reluctant to try to push him out.
Understood. You know, a new report says RFK's Department of Health and Human Services is preparing now to release a report that links autism with Tylenol taken by the mother during pregnancy. So given that studies are mixed on creating this link, what do you believe the impacts will be on the American medical community if this is in fact released?
Well, for a start, that finding, if it is part of the report, will be very, very hotly disputed, not least by the makers of Tylenol, who contend that there isn't any link and that they have looked at the evidence. But it is also, I mean, it gets into a very dangerous territory, it seems to me, for the Department of Health. If they are going to release a report suggesting a link between a particular product and autism, they'd better be 100% sure that link exists, because if it doesn't, they're open to massive legal jeopardy. So I think that's part of the picture. The other picture is, of course, the more generalized 30,000 feet view, which is we now have a health secretary who has a long record of being skeptical of vaccines, of having views about medicine that we could best describe as unorthodox, perhaps. And those will obviously be met with consternation by a lot of members of the medical community, and in fact are being met with that consternation already.
And there are rumblings, just even as that was floated, that there may be a cherry picking of research here, but it remains to be seen what winds up in that report. We'll stay tuned there. I wanted to move on now to the president's crime crackdown, his next target. He seems to have Chicago, of course, in the crosshairs for a potential National Guard deployment, but he's also mentioned cities, as you know now, like, you know, New Orleans, Baltimore. Many Republicans say this is a needed, tough on crime stance. Many Democrats call all of this a distraction from the tariff back and forth, other economic moves. What do you see as the ramifications of these moves, a potential National Guard deployment in Chicago politically?
I think the key point here is that President Trump seems to be lowering the bar by which military or National Guard troops can be deployed for the enforcement of domestic law. With rare, very rare exceptions, that did not used to be the case in this country. There was a quite clearly delineated differentiation between the forces of domestic law enforcement and the forces of the military. That level of separation is being largely erased, I would say, by President Trump and by the approach he's taken, not only in D.C., but of course in Los Angeles earlier this year. Now he's talking most immediately about targeting Chicago and some of those other cities you mentioned, while the crime rates in those cities, including Chicago, have declined quite significantly. You noted some of those statistics in an earlier interview this hour, Kelly. So I think that's why there is concern, not only among Democrats, but among what one might call the sort of civil libertarian community in the United States.
Yeah, there's certainly quite a bit of dynamics at play here. Niall, we always appreciate your breakdown. Niall Strange, great to have you this evening. Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.